Hey, my name is Mario O'Brien. I'm here covering the mixed division in Sarasota, Florida. I'm here with Victor Wu of Bucket. Victor, first game at Nationals, what are you telling your team?
Well, besides the fact that it's like Atlanta weather now, I think the big thing we always try to remember is that prayers make praise, and that's kind of our motto to go out there and do what we can and try to play as well as we can. And first game day, just don't the first pass, I think. So
absolutely. So what specifically can we look for your team to do in this first game?
Well, I think that one of our strengths is our athletic man-to-man defense, and we know that Barrio's a really good team. We played them last year after our quarters loss, and they beat us, and they just have a lot of really good top-end talent, and we hope to just pressure them with our depth, and hopefully that'll wear them down in the first game. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Victor.
Thanks a lot.
In the opening round of the seed pool, Southern Regional Champion Bucket took on Barrio out of the Southwest. Bucket, wearing white, is poised to take their loose playing style all the way through to Sunday, while Barrio is looking to add to their run of 3 straight trips to quarters or better. Both teams came out collected and patient, trading the first few points, but the Atlanta-based team eventually pulled away on incredibly accurate hucks like this one from Mike Aronson to an athletic Sam Game. In the A pool, Philadelphia's AMP was looking to avenge their early season 15-4 loss against the #1 overall seed, Slow White, from Boston. AMP relied heavily on their handlers and had to resort to quick dishes and push passes like this one from Kevin McCormick to a streaking Eugene Yoon. But from that point on, Slow White turned to its defense to take control of the game, and after a gigantic pull that backed the AMP handlers into their own end zone, Slow White's Steve Sullivan cleans up an easy D and flips it to Dan Pastillas for the 6-3 lead. Slow White would eventually cruise 15-9. Elsewhere in the A pool, Scientific Method, wearing green, ran into Overhaul from Michigan. Early this season at heavyweights in Chicago, Overhaul handed the Iowa team an 11-6 loss, and this game was more of the same with incredible plays by James Highsmith and Colin McIntyre setting the defensive tone for Overhaul. Late in the game, trailing 14-5, Scientific Method worked down the sideline and eventually found Tara Olds blitzing up blind for the goal. But in the end, it was too little, too late, and on their next possession, Overhaul would work the disc with some slicey IO throws to find Aaron Schron open on the break side. Overhaul takes care of business, 15-8. Elsewhere in Pool C, 6th-seeded Mischief, wearing red, matched up with the 14th-seeded Wagon Wheel in what would prove to be the tightest game of the round. When Mischief was on their game, their quick ball movement and use of the entire field allowed them to get easy goals like this one from Matt West to a streaking Andy Coleman. This game featured some incredible athletic prowess. Check out Kurt Chapman cleaning up this huck through 2 defenders. Nice grab. Mischief, though, would not be denied as they completed their comeback on double game point. And this is once again Andy Coleman throwing a dime ball from about 30 yards out. Mischief takes it 14-13.
The second round opened up with the Polar Bears from the Bay Area against LA Metro from the Southwest. Early on, LA Metro used well-timed cuts and deep shots like this one from Gordy Steckling, followed by a truly special moment between teammates Ann Oliger and Keegan Ewell. This one was close early on, but eventually the Polar Bears galvanized around their great throwers like Michael Robot Liu and athletic plays from their young receivers. Polar Bears would pull away in the second half 15-10. This team is in their first appearance at Nationals, and they are primed to make some noise going into the power pools. Coming off a casual victory in the first round in the B pool, the number 2 overall seed District 5 took on the Dirty Birds from Southeast Texas. The Dirty Birds went down early but found success against the D5 zone with easy throws to space that led to goals like this one for Hugh Doshback. Unfortunately for the Dirty Birds, they weren't able to clean up their first half mess, and District 5 would roll to the 15-11 victory, putting them in position to sweep the pool in the next round. Elsewhere in Pool D, the Central Region champions from the Twin Cities, Dragon Thrust, took the pitch against Snowbirds from Montreal. In the first half, one of the speediest men in the mixed division, Moss of Dragon Thrust, makes a mockery of the defense with a series of give-and-goes that eventually lead to an easy goal, showing that Dragon Thrust captains Dave Klink, Alex Baker, and Alicia Carr have assembled a team that is solid from front to back. Late in the game, down 11-3, the Snowbirds tried to get some mojo going with a handler dominator, but Dragon Thrust showed their disciplined defense with Alex Baker getting a point block, then picking it up and immediately firing to James Hron for the athletic grab in the back of the end zone, securing their spot in a power pool with a 15-6 victory. In the D pool, Conspiracy Theory from Dallas would have all it could handle against Iowa's Chad Larson experience. This one turned into a blowout with CLX up 10-2 until this goal by a streaking John Martin. CLX, the defending world champions, would control the game throughout. And here, Kevin Sealer hooks up with one of his favorite targets, and one of the nicest guys in Ultimate, number 93, Kyle Gill, who makes this one look easy in the air. CLX takes it 15-6, earning a well-deserved rest before their next round.
Kevin, so you rolled your first 2 rounds. How have you been getting the job done?
We've been getting the job done with some improvised offensive lines, some decent hucking, good defense. Doug Jacobs has got a lot of D's for us. He's a big-time player for us. But overall, it's we like to poach a little bit, get D's, and we really like to push and transition. And so we really try to get our scores quickly off of those D's. We're not a team that sets up very well because we can't practice together. We live in geographically dispersed locations. So we find our offense runs best when we're off to the races after a turn. So.
The last round of Thursday matched up the top 2 seeds in each of the 4 pools. District 5 took on the Polar Bears, who despite the wind put their deep game on display. After trading the opening 2 points, the Polar Bear D-line seized an early lead, took control of the game, and never looked back, capturing the first big upset in the mixed division, taking the game 15-8 over the overall number 2 District 5. Yet another barn burner ensued in the A pool with the 8th overall seed, Overhaul, trying to upset the favorite to win it all, Slow White, wearing black. With her team down 1 late in the game, Slow White's Rosie Anno makes a tough read over her head to make it 15-all game to 17. After Overhaul scored on their O point, once again Slow White had their backs against the wall, but this time Kim Sabo gets the gritty poach D, and teammate Matt Wilkin immediately picks it up and fires the game winner for what would be the biggest upset of the day, 17-15 Overhaul. This one's for you, Kyle. Finally, in the C pool, Mischief was coming off of 2 tough victories and had to rely on cheeky flicks like this one from Kyle Smith just to keep it close. Despite their efforts, in the end, Mischief just didn't have the legs to hang with Bucket, and the Atlanta team rolled to a sweep of their pool with a 15-9 victory. Bucket! The D pool was a showdown between the Central Region rivals Chad Larson Experience and Dragon Thrust. Down by 1 in the second half, the Thrusters spread their cutters out wide for one of their talented female handlers, number 44, Robin Fennig, to take shots down the field. Here she connects with Mike Peterson, who decides to make his teammate look good by throwing to space in the end zone for the textbook layout grab by Alex Delegard to make it 10-all. After scoring a tough upwinder and taking a 14-13 lead, CLX called on their top D-line to generate a break for the win. A beautiful pull pinned Dragon Thrust deep in their own end zone, and the high-pressure situation led to an unfortunate drop, giving the world champions disc in hand on the goal line with a chance for the upset. John Misra picked up the disc, and after a pick call, eventually found Blake Larson with a loopy pass over the top to get the break and the upset. CLX takes the pool 15-13 in a nail-biter.
Talk us through that last play.
The last play, we got the turnover right on the goal line after a complicated drop. It was unfortunate for them, but then we set up an avert stack. I faked one way, came over. He had the D, but then I just shaded back and he threw it over the top.
Nice. Talk to us about how your team is feeling after a win like that leading into tomorrow.
Fantastic. We started the day, now it's 3-0. It's great. It feels good. We went 2-0. We knew this was our tough game. This was after 2-0. Felt great. This is the top competition out of our region. They were number 1 out of our region. We were number 3. So now it feels good. So awesome.
My name is Mario O'Brien. I'm here covering the mixed division at the USAU National Championships. I'm here with Anchi So. She's the captain of Polar Bears. Yesterday, Polar Bears upset the number 2 seed District 5. Anchi, how are you keeping your team focused? You're a new team. What are you talking to them and saying to them in the huddle to keep them focused for the power pools?
Oh, well, really what helped us get going yesterday was just actually keeping our momentum going and keeping everyone really psyched up on the sidelines and excited and focused on playing our game, not forcing new crazy stuff that we've never done because people are throwing crazy zones or crazy defense on us or whatever. So just like playing our young, athletic, strong, keeping the raw going.
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday the conditions came into play. It was hot early, it got windy late. It's already windy this morning. How does that affect your strategy? What are you going to do differently today?
Today, well, we're going to focus a little bit more on forcing a little bit more straight up, try to keep the hucks from going off. Also, you want to make sure that everyone knows that any discus vary. We got to pick up the garbage, make sure that we're running fast and strong again. We'll probably be throwing a little bit more zone, so make sure that our zone line is fresh and sidelines are talking so that we can stay really into the game.
Absolutely. You heard it here first. This is Anchi So. She's the captain of Polar Bears, looking to hold seed and make it on through to quarters tomorrow.
Friday's power pools opened up with Polar Bears and Dragon Thrust. Let's get straight to the action. This is Michael Liu sending it up top, and Greg Marlov takes care of the rest with a second effort grab. Polar Bears trying to keep it close in the first half. Dragon Thrust runs 15 players deep on their D-line, and everyone can make athletic plays just like this one. Check out Robin Fennig from way downtown to fellow UWEC alum Pat Niles, who gets nasty in the air and then leaves the disc right where he found it. Dragon Thrust takes the game 15-9. Elsewhere, Bucket ran into Slow White, who came out fired up on D after dropping the game in pool play. Rusty Ingold Smith has established himself as one of the most complete players in the division, and here he looks crossfield to Cassidy Edwards, who finishes it off with a prayer spike, extending the Slow White lead to 7 early in the second half. This one was never really even a game, as the Northeast Juggernaut dominated every aspect from start to finish and put it on cruise control in the second half. Slow White had no problem finding holes in the Bucket game plan and exposed the Atlanta team with hucks like this one to Chris Waite, wide open for the easy clap catch. Slow White rolls 15-9. After upsetting the number 1 seed yesterday, Overhaul ran into a wily and experienced Mischief squad with something to prove in the opening round of the power pools. Down a break in the first half, Kyle Smith finds Quinn Kennett, who makes an easy catch for the goal. But a scary moment for Mischief as Kennett goes down with a knee injury. He would have to be carted off the field. The game stayed tight through half, but the young legs of Overhaul eventually prevailed as Overhaul remained unbeaten for the tournament. 15-11 victory. In the most exciting game of the round, CLX took on District 5, who unveiled throwback replica jerseys from everybody's favorite hockey classic, the Mighty Ducks. Down 10-7 in the second half, CLX won on a run of 3 straight breaks to tie the game at 10-all, capped off by an athletic tip-toe catch by Doug Jacobs that was correctly ruled a goal by the observer. The game would come down to double game point, and it was D5's Chris Mazer who launched a huck to one of the Bash brothers, Alex Marone, making a ridiculous twisting catch over Kyle Gill for the dramatic victory. D5 takes it. In the final round of power pools, Chad Larson Experience met the Polar Bears with a guaranteed spot in quarters on the line. After a back-and-forth first half, the Polar Bears found themselves up by 1 when Becca Sexton unleashed a Blady forehand to Greg Marlov to put the Bay Area team up by 2 late in the game. High fives all around, and the Polar Bears could smell victory. After a CLX turn, the Polar Bears showed they truly do have ice in their veins as they patiently worked the disc across the field, waited for the right opportunity to strike, and delivered to a wide-open Anchi Sue. And the captain celebrates with a double pirouette, cementing her team's spot in the quarters and sending CLX back to pre-quarters. In other power pool action, Mischief crossed paths with Slow White in a rematch of the 2006 National Finals. Previously this season at the Boston Invite and ECC, Slow White dominated this matchup, and Mischief was trying to prove to themselves that they could still hang with the best in the nation. Unfortunately for the Bay Area squad, Slow White was in tune and had all 7 dwarves whistling while they worked, and consistently made plays all over the field as we see 6'6" Cody Rebholz beating his man to the disc despite an aggressive bid by Mischief's Ryan Gerlach. Mischief showed great hustle and stymied the Slow White end zone attack, forcing a high stall count, but Rebholz upheld the family name and floated a hovering backhand over the top to Chris Kelly, as Slow White dominates Mischief for the 3rd time this season, 15-6. Overhaul and Bucket squared off in the other power pool, as Bucket was determined to hand the Michigan-based team their first loss of the tournament. Mira Walker snuck away from her defender for a goal and immediately goes for the bear hug straddle move. Bucket takes half, 8-7. The second half was more of the same as Bucket ran away with it on nasty grabs like this one from Fred Sealing. Overhaul falls to Bucket, 15-10. In the last game of the round, the wannabe Minnesotans, District 5, took on the real team from the land of 10,000 lakes, Dragon Thrust. After losing the day before, Dragon Thrust was back in the groove as Captain Dave Klink dialed long distance and hooked up with Moss on a full field hook to make it 3-3 in the first half. Late in the game, after getting a sweet layout D in the open field, Alex Baker would reel in this shot down the sideline to give Dragon Thrust the power pool win and a favorable path to be playing on Sunday.
I'm here with James Hron of Dragon Thrust. His team just was victorious in the second round of the power pool. James, you're moving on to quarters. How are you feeling about that game?
Great. I mean, we just lost to CLX yesterday. We knew to get a chance, we had to get 2 wins, and it just feels great to come on and do it.
Absolutely. You know, I noticed in this game, your defensive intensity on your whole team was incredible. What adjustment did you make, or what did you guys tell yourself in the huddle that gave you that edge?
CLX and D5 here had a very, very tough game before us, and we knew if our D-line kept on pushing it, our O-line would take care of itself, and we knew if our D-line continued to make their O-line run, we would be able to pull it out.
Absolutely. So. Perfect. James, thanks a lot. Good luck, man. Good luck. The story of the mixed division on the second day of competition was parity in the power pools. And at the start of this morning's games, it was anybody's guess as to who would secure a spot in the top 8 and who would be facing elimination in the pre-quarters. After putting themselves in an ideal position by sweeping their pool on day 1, CLX found themselves hanging by a thread in the second half against Wagon Wheel, who swept the lower pool to earn another chance to make quarters. After the CLX O-line held serve, their pressure dump defense led to a miscommunication between the Wagon Wheel handlers and an easy set of bookends for John Starrin to put CLX up 12-11, putting the pressure back on the squad from North Carolina. The Iowa side would run off 3 straight breaks, capped off by a perfect Melissa Gibbs sidearm pass across the end zone to Kurt Borson. CLX sends Wagon Wheel to pick a bouquet of dogwood flowers in the placement brackets. Final score, 15-11. In the other pre-quarter, Mischief, wearing red, hadn't won since their second game in pool play and found themselves in a dogfight with LA Metro that featured several lead changes throughout the game. Earlier this season at ECC, Mischief had rolled to an easy victory, but it was the team from Southern California that looked to be peaking at the right time. Check out this patient swing pass followed by a lefty flick to Bars Lang, who makes a crazy athletic play to put Metro up 5-4 in the first half. In the second half, we would see more of the same as Lang goes up and makes another great play, skying Mischief's Kyle Smith for an 11-10 lead. As the game wound down to crunch time with the soft cap on, game to 16, it was LA Metro that looked poised to complete the upset as they patiently worked for goals like this one to number 21 Keegan Ewell, 15-14 Metro. However, the last mischievous laugh would be had by the team from the Bay Area as primetime performer Kyle Smith found himself open on a broken end zone play for the win, proving that at Nationals, experience normally prevails as Mischief takes it in a double game point thriller. Final score, 16-15. Mischief moves on to face Dragon Thrust in the quarters. Kyle, great game. Walk us through that last play. How'd you get that final score?
We knew we had a mismatch, and so we ISO'd him, and they knew that we were looking for that, so they had a lot of help. Making that cut not available, we dumped and swung it, got it over. It was great. We boosted it. Child please.
Nice, absolutely. Now, you've had a tough road. You've had some super tough games. You played a lot of games. You guys are tired. What are you talking? How are you talking to your team? What are you saying to your team?
First of all, we're not tired.
All right,
we're taking this momentum. We're going all the way.
Absolutely.
Bucket versus District 5 quarterfinals. Check out Bucket's Sam Gaynor going huge for a layout D early in the first half. Bucket had dug themselves a 3-point hole but stormed back, and this break backhand from Matt Klonick to Chelsea Murphy had Bucket looking like a contender. The score knotted up at 5. We pick it up late in the game. Liz Middleton breaks the mark to the heart and soul of the team, John Korber, and District 5 moves on to semis with a 15-13 win over Bucket. District 5 would face the winner of Dragon Thrust and Mischief, who had yet to face off against each other this season. Mischief had been riding the incredible play of Kyle Smith all tournament long, and this one would be no different as Andy Coleman finds Smith streaking across the front of the end zone. Mischief still down 12-14. The comeback would come up short as Dragon Thrust took a deep, fiery breath and punched in the final goal to Laura Steinkraus. And Jake Henderson says, "Come on, celebrate a little. We're going to semis." On the other side of the bracket, we had the Polar Bears versus Overhaul, both of whom are in their first appearance here at Nationals. Greg Marlioff set the tone in the second half, getting open on the dead side to give the Bears a 4-point lead, and from there, the Bay Area team would never look back. Their D-line pressured Overhaul into tough throws and ran off a huge string of breaks as the Polar Bears patiently disassembled the Overhaul D with a wide variety of hucks, 0-2 cuts, and break throws to blow this one open, moving on to semis in convincing fashion. The last round of quarters featured the favorite, Slow White, taking on the defending world champion, CLX. Down 2 in the second half, Slow White's Dave Truesdale reeled in his huck to keep his team within striking distance, but the day belonged to the world champs as Captain Kevin Sealer with a fresh buzz cut delivers a perfect hammer over the top to Andrew Weimer. CLX meets the Polar Bears in semis. District 5 would face the winner of Dragon Thrust and Mischief, who had yet to face off against each other this season. Mischief had been riding the incredible play of Kyle Smith all tournament long, and this one would be no different as Andy Coleman finds Smith streaking across the front of the end zone. Mischief still down 12-14. The comeback would come up short as Dragon Thrust took a deep, fiery breath and punched in the final goal to Laura Steinkraus. And Jake Henderson says, "Come on, celebrate a little. We're going to semis."
All right, I'm here with Alicia Carr of Dragon Thrust. Her team just pulled out a great quarterfinals victory against Mischief. Alicia, how did you guys get it done in that last game?
We have a super deep team. I am 100% confident putting absolutely everyone on the field. We've got great D. It's definitely a team effort. Our driving spirit comes from silly bands, which are awarded when you have a spectacular play. Some of the boys aren't all about it, but everybody appreciates the spirit.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what's the identity of this team? Are you guys tied off the field? Is it your defense? Is it your experience over the years? What makes your team successful as an identity for your team?
Our O-line's been playing together for about 5 years, which keeps the core of the team very cohesive. We're all really close. We bring in a lot of young talent who have really grown over the last couple of years. This team is so fun to play with. And our defense is what drives the fire in our bellies to play really well.
The semifinals saw perennial contender Chad Larson experience out of the Central region, taking on the Polar Bears in a rematch of the Power Pool matchup from the day before where the Bears came out 15-12. CLX, led by steady-handed Kevin Sealer, are the defending world champions and were confident in their big game exposure, looking to make their second consecutive trip to the national finals. Check out Kyle Borson going up in traffic and stealing this one from the Polar Bear defender to put CLX up 1 in the first half. The Polar Bears, on the other hand, have exploded onto the scene out of the Northwest and could be the new regime carrying the torch out of the region. Solid fundamentals throughout and great balance have carried the Polar Bears thus far, and we saw more of the same here in the semis, with Marliov making the catch to put his team up 1. Early in the second half, as their legs began to fade, CLX turned to their deep game. Check out this full field huck to a wide open Jessica Hop to pull her team within 1 in the second half. There's a high five for you. 1 for you. The Polar Bears, however, would not be outdone and displayed a little experience of their own as they worked the disc on the next point, showing great patience and spacing, eventually finding Daniel Naru, who holds his position and makes an athletic leaping grab to put the Bears back up by 2, 12-10. With CLX pinned against the wall and leading 14-12, the The Polar Bears once again showed poise down the stretch, calling a timeout after being stranded by a Huck. Executing their end zone play to perfection, they found Captain Greg Marlioff for the win and a well-deserved end zone party, celebrating a trip to finals in their first year as a team. Polar Bears win 15-12.
In the other semi, Dragon Thrust and District 5 were the final two to tango with a ticket to the Sunday Ball on the line. District 5 was looking to prove that their big tournament victories of the regular season were no fluke. And though most have been referring to them as a first-year team, they are no stranger to Club Nationals, as most members of the roster have played in Sarasota with a different team in at least one of the last 2 seasons. Captain John Korber made a commitment to bringing together not only skilled players, but also a winning character that has galvanized this team around accountability and trust, shown here between Nick Shiner and Alex Marone to take half. Early in the second half, D5 threw a poachy zone at the thrusters, and Captain Dave Klink blades a flick over the top to Laura Steinkraus, who gets sandwiched by a pair of aggressive defenders. The team in black showed no shortage of class, offering an immediate apology and conceding the uncontested foul. Dragon Thrust would punch it in to tie it up at 9-9. Dragon Thrust is a self-proclaiming second-half team and thus far had been relying on the depth of their defense to secure victories, with James Ron, Alex Delegard, and Robin Fennig making plays throughout the course of the weekend. Unfortunately, D5's John Korber is a second-half player as well, as he stays in bound for this momentum-changing break in the second half to put his team up 11-9. On the ensuing pull, another Dragon Thrust standout, Alex Baker, holds his position, makes an excellent grab, and would eventually find a streaking Jake Henderson, who spikes it with authority. Dragon Thrust still down 1. With the cap on and D5 up 13-12, the thruster O-line would buckle under the pressure, and a critical point block gave the Northeast powerhouse the ball in the red zone with a chance to break for the win. Out of the vertical end zone set, watch number 81, Alex Marone, time his cut out of the back of the stack for an unguardable IO backhand, sealing the deal 14-12. District 5 meets the Polar Bears in the Sunday brunch finale.